Hi everyone, welcome back. Working from your manual in this assessment. The next assessment we're looking at is the lumbar rotation, lumbar thoracic region. So for this particular test, we're taking the hands together at the heart in Anjali Mudra, and we're bringing our chin down to rest on the fingertips. This is to isolate the cervical spine. So we're trying to basically eliminate any movement in this upper neck region. So for this one, I'm just going to have Kat turn almost as if you're trying to swivel at the waistline. And I like to do this one seated because it does isolate the hips. This one can be done standing. When it's done standing, you're going to look for any sort of shifting in the hips. So if there's any tightness in the back or through the trunk of the body, arthrokinetically, it's going to cause a rotation in the hip joint. I do like to do this assessment from seated, as the weight bearing is going to isolate and anchor the base, the hips, and then I can get an accurate reading as to the range of motion just swiveling at the waist. So swiveling just a little bit and then coming to center and swiveling to the other side. Now we may not see symmetrical range of motion with this particular assessment, especially since we have different organs on different sides of the body. So just keeping that in mind, that if it's not exactly symmetrical, maybe it's just off by just a little bit, we might want to just let that go, especially if there's no pain or discomfort with that range of motion. Great, that looks fantastic. All right, good. All right, our next assessment is with our half series. So we'll start with the half series and then we'll progress it from down dog into plank. So this is what our half series looks like, Kat. We go from child's pose with the hips back on the heels, and then you'll come forward into a kneeling plank and then take it back again. So we'll just start with that. So I'm looking for range of motion with Kat here. As she's coming forward, I'm noticing that she is able to maintain core support and dynamic tension in the body. When she moves back, I'm noticing that her hands are not shifting, her feet are not shifting. She's stacking shoulder, elbow, wrist when she comes forward, maintaining a slight lift in the tailbone, core is engaged. We're seeing that the hips are active to hinge. That is going to be one of the primary movers with this. And also I can see that her shoulder joint is exhibiting healthy flexion and extension movement with this half series. So from here, if we want to add into this, just to kind of work on testing out, assessing stabilization in the shoulder, we can come forward and then hug the elbows in really tight and come down, 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 only to the shoulders in line with the elbow, and then push back up and push back. So we're going into that kneeling chaturanga to look at stabilization of the shoulder, holding the elbows in tight, and then slowly pushing up and pressing back. So of course, I would be assessing here at what point does it appear that the body loses control? At what point does the shoulder shake? At what point do the hands begin to pill up? And remembering, we're only going down so that the upper humeral head, the upper shoulder joint, is in a straight line with the elbow. So at the most, we're bringing this down so we have about a 90-degree angle on that joint and maintaining neutral spine on the way down. Great job, Kat. Great job. Take a rest from that. That's enough to build some heat. All right, so putting even more physical investment into this, we can go from down dog into our high plank without the knees on the ground. So to demo our downward facing dog, traditionally we can take the hands out in front of us, shoulder, elbow, wrist, toes are separated in line with the knees. And as we come forward, we might want to tuck the tailbone under, cradle the organs, find neutral spine on the stack, feet and hands do not move. We just tuck, lift the knees, and take it back. There's just a little bit of rounding in the upper back, and we're not moving the feet or the hands. We're just going to come forward, stack and plank, and then take it back again. And again, we're looking for the same thing as we look for in our child's into kneeling plank pose. So at any time, Kat, if you want to take it into your expression of a downward facing dog, slowly coming forward, tucking the toes, lifting the knees, moving into down dog, hips are peeking up towards the sky. She has her head hanging nice and loose between the biceps. I see that she doesn't have a lot of weight loaded back into her feet. She doesn't have a lot of weight forward. So thinking about the essence of down dog, which is to feel that the energy peaks at the hips. And then whenever you're ready, shifting forward and back a few times, cat, so we can look at the mechanics of this. So as she shifts forward, notice that she is keeping from her hips to her shoulders a straight line. So basically the trunk of the body from the shoulders to the hips stays parallel to the floor. One of the most common misalignments in this is that people think their body needs to be at it like a plank, like 45-degree angle almost. But truly, we want to keep this alignment that way as she comes forward. When she does come forward, what we're seeing is she has this nice neutral parallel trunk of the body and the spine. And then you see the femur bone coming out of through the SI joint region in the hip. There's a little bit of an angle down. So we know that there's not a lot of pressure in this region. We're not compressing lumbar spine, SI joint region. We're not going to irritate, hopefully, sciatica and other issues. So we can continue to shift forward and back. And if you want to add in a small push-up, the same type of push-up, cat, you're welcome to show us one. So just lowering down, notice that she keeps the shoulders in line with the hips. Hips are going to come up just a little bit on the way down. Maybe just one more. I promise that'll be the workout for the day. And then pressing up, pushing back. And then whenever you're ready, relaxing your knees, you're welcome to just press back and hold in child's pose and get your breath. All right. So from here, whenever you feel you've got your breath, we're just going to look at Cobra and maybe upward facing dog to test out how you feel with your thoracic and your cervical extension. So for this one, as we come forward, step one is to first test out how it feels to come forward onto the belly and maybe just lift a little bit through the heart. And then over time, as it feels right for you, pressing into the heels of the hands, maybe straightening the arms, and then pushing into the tops of the feet to get a lift of the knees away from the floor. And this will be our expression of moving into our cobra, baby cobra, into an upward facing dog. So as she moves into that baby cobra, she can pause, we can check in if there's any pain at all, we stop here. And she always has the option to push a little more into the heels of the hands, maybe increasing that thoracic and cervical extension, again, checking in if there's any pain at all, stopping and straightening the arms only to the point where we're able to maintain comfort, possibly pushing into the tops of the feet and hovering the knees off the floor, looking for this nice neutral slope in the body. We have our expression of upward facing dog. So if her shoulders were up by her ears, or if her elbows were winging out to the side, or if she had the head lifted too high, we know that those are some of the notes that we're going to take in our assessment today. All right, thank you. We could take a little break there. Thank you.